back to the KYTL podcast. We have Leah with us today, all the way, tuning in all the way from Japan.
Wow.
Pioneer Pride.
Pioneer Pride. It's been a while since Pioneer. That seems like 10 lifetimes ago.
My phone contact for you is still, you know that picture of us going like this?
Yeah, from rowing.
Yeah, that's it.
Leah and I rowed together.
We have a full rowing squad right here.
Yeah, rowing squad. We could,
we
could
all
take out
rowed.
a 4-person boat. We could take out a quad. Right?
That'd be funny.
That was that was high school for me, so that was a long time ago. But
yeah, same.
Same.
Could never be a college rower like you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. Well, what time is it for you, Leah, over in Japan?
It's 5:30 a.m.
5:30 a.m.
I'm like waking up and talking some Survivor Michigan. Am I right?
Yeah. Favorite thing to talk about in the morning, right?
Exactly
this is what you do every day, isn't it? It's how you start every day.
It's not actually. I think this is the first time I've started my day like this in 3 years, but you know.
So for people who maybe aren't completely familiar, what are you doing all the way over there in Japan?
I'm in the Marine Corps. I'm over here. I am a logistics officer. Right now I work in Motor T. So I have like a platoon of 77 Marines and I have like 100 trucks, and we are responsible for maintaining the trucks and maintaining the people that maintain the trucks and a lot of personnel and just equipment management. We get to go around sometimes and go to cool places, and a lot of times it's just living here on Okinawa.
Wow,
that's awesome. My grandpa was actually stationed on Okinawa way back in like the Korean War. Yeah.
Have you picked up any Japanese while you've been there?
Very, very little. I'm better than some people. Like I can give directions to taxis. Like I can say like left and right, almost there, go straight. Like I can ask where the bathroom is, or like I can order food in Japanese.
Man, that's impressive.
That is the extent. I can't have a conversation about anything.
Wait, how do you say where's the bathroom?
Oh yeah, how do you say that?
Actually, I don't think I can say where's the bathroom. I learned it and then I forgot it. But like for like ordering drinks is like mizu anagashimasu, or like onkake. It's like basically where's the check, and then masagu is straight, and friggin' mihi and hidari is like left and right. So that's pretty much it. And then the only word you need to know in Japanese is hi. Hi means yes.
How do you say hi?
Hi.
Okay.
So at your job you like keep track of personnel and stuff. Would you say that you have like a list of people that you, Leah, keep track of?
Yes, I have to turn in. I mean, it's something we call actually hit lists is something we call them. It's like they send these out every day of people that need to go to medical, of people that need to go to dental, of people that need to go to a certain brief or that haven't gotten a certain training. We get hit lists every day, and I have to, my platoon sergeant make sure that the necessary people go to that. Anybody, I think who's in the military would know, like hit lists. They're like
the hit list.
They're not. It's not about killing people. It's about making your Marines go to dental.
Wow,
I love that. So you work with hit lists, and you also, you're keeping track of your people, making sure your people are doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to say, like in Japanese, that I was the best second placer in Survivor Michigan history and maybe one? Is that one of the phrases you know?
I don't think I don't have that one down.
I need to add that to the vocabulary. I don't know.
Don't think about it.
But wait, how long have you been in Japan?
I moved here in July of 2021, so coming up on 2 years.
Oh,
1 year to go.
wow.
It's a 3-year tour.
Wow. Have you been back here since you've moved there?
Yes, I was back over the holidays this past year. I got
Okay.
to spend time with Sam.
Yeah.
Nice.
Saw a very exciting Illinois football game that we weren't
Yeah.
expecting to be
Oh,
exciting.
it was a little too exciting. Yeah. Yeah, and the Big Ten rigged it for us, at least according
Yeah.
to online. So, according to Twitter. So, thanks for the rigging.
No, it was like they had to, since Leia was there to watch the game, it's like they had to put on a show,
Yep.
Like
They
we're
wanted
no
to
way we're gonna
accelerate
lose,
up a little
but
bit.
make an exciting game, I guess.
Dang.
Well, I mean, we know how the audience would prefer an exciting game rather than just one side beating the other outright easily.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah, so like what have your thoughts been on the season in general and like the overall reception of it?
I would say my perception of the reception is very much through two people's eyes. And those people are Sam and Ian, because those were the two that I was honestly really talking to throughout the season. I watched the first episode I watched was the episode where Aaron went home. I wasn't ready. I was busy at the time. I was dealing with an exercise. And then I think I watched the double tribal episode. I think the episode that I was most curious, like what went down. Like I don't think there was even another episode where I felt like I didn't understand what happened. It's pretty much all the other ones, like after the season I knew, but like I didn't really know what happened that week until I watched it.
I'm still not really sure if I know, but there's so much going on that week.
And then I watched like a little bit, I think, of most of the rest of the episodes. Yeah. So, like I said, my perception, like, I mean, you can't help it. Like, I read some of the comments, obviously, but for the most part, I just didn't want to. But I think I had a pretty good idea how people were going to react. But I also know how Ian thought people were going to react. Like, I mean, okay, this is interesting. So before it ever aired, like whenever I would have conversations, Ian would ask me, "Are you going to watch?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm not going to watch. I'm not going to watch at all." And he was like, "I'm working so hard on this. You got to watch. Like, you're the hero. Like, everyone's going to love you." Like, he knows I hated my edit in season 1. And fun fact, the reasoning that George has essentially given for a lot of things is that, I mean, you can ask him this because I really got this information through Ian. But Ian said that George said that they lost a lot of my footage because Claire was responsible for it. I don't know if Claire one day wants to refute that, but I felt like I put a lot into that season and it very much wasn't my story. And like there was so much every week, and I'm sure every Survivor player ever feels like this, but I did watch season 1 and I felt like every week so much of my story was left out of it. So much of what me and Mitch did wasn't in the show. And when you talk to people, like they felt the same way. They're like, yeah, well, you don't really watch it and then understand me and Mitch's point of view. But anyways, like that was one of the reasons I was salty about it. And Ian was like, no, like this time you're going to love it. Like your whole story's in there. And I guess he absolutely did put my entire story in there.
Yeah.
I guess he was just wrong about how people would react to it. That's just interesting. I disagreed with him. I didn't think people were going to like me. So that wasn't like a motivating factor for me. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things I thought was interesting as I was watching was that it seemed like there was a certain portion of people who, I guess their biggest critique of you was like, oh, like I don't like that Leia just like wants to stick with her friends and like whatever, like does this when she's playing strategically. But then at a certain point in the end game, when you really started like going against Cooper, like you started gaining like a lot more fans. Like it seemed like in going out to the very end of the game, like there were a lot of people that there's at least like a portion of people who really wanted you to win and were like, oh, Leia started playing like very differently, or in their minds you were playing differently. I mean, maybe I'm curious on your thoughts on that, like whether that you felt like you were playing kind of the same type of game the whole way around. But there's like some people who are like, okay, well, Leia isn't really playing like strategically. She's just like sticking with her friend group. And then at certain points, like, oh, now Leia's like voting off her friends. I like this. Now I like Leia.
Mhm.
That kind of seemed to be at least like some part of the reaction to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't think any of the answers I give are like really gonna satisfy any of that. Like, both were true. Like, it was like I don't know. I've thought about how to word this, and I guess I still just don't have a great answer. Like, my eloquence eludes me, but I can't help but to be strategic. And I think that maybe some people like won't like that answer, but like I can't help it. Like I would game it like when I go home, I had like I would just be strategic, and like, but I really did like not like how the way that the game made me feel and the way that I perceived the game made other people feel. Like I really like I wasn't lying. Like I have a love for just like strategy and just an addiction to it and just like trying. But then I also was really like upset with like the way that Survivor made me feel. It made me feel awful. Like I cared so much, and like you guys know that feeling that you get in the pit of your stomach before you show up to tribal council.
Yeah. Yep.
It exists. It did like maybe so I think that there were some people like maybe like Cooper, maybe like Andrew, who, like that was exciting. Like they were like, yes, like oh like this is exciting, this is cool. Like for me, it just made me nauseous. And it just made me like every time I would succeed, I like did not like I would have this initial like, yes, I did it. And then I would just like this rush of just like shame and just like about the whole thing. So
it's like you loved
was
it.
the friends things real? Like and I think it was really hard for me because all the like philosophy stuff I was talking about, like I've developed my opinions a lot about it now, but like I cared about what I was saying. But I also watched the show and thought that I came off like I thought I came off arrogant. I thought I came off holier than thou. And I think it's like, obviously I was going to come off that way. I'm talking about philosophy in a game where people are just over there like trying to have fun. I think I brought in a lot of stuff to a situation. Like I brought things into the game that I shouldn't have brought in because it just maybe wasn't appropriate to do that. So I believed what I was saying, and that's the problem. I cared so deeply about the things that I was saying. I just think it wasn't the right place for that.
I mean, I liked how passionate you were in all your confessionals personally. Like there was nothing fake about it, which I appreciated.
Yeah, and I feel like before the game started, I feel like some people on maybe like production side or even like other cast members like weren't sure how serious you were going to take it, because I know you were kind of very removed, or at least for a little bit, from like Survivor community, or like you're like, oh, I hate Survivor sucks, you know. And then so I don't know exactly if it's like how serious you take, but like I don't know if like people thought your I don't know whole heart would be in it, and then you definitely you put every single ounce of your everything into the game. So
yeah, if we're gonna talk about effort just in terms of hours that I put into it, like I put in the maximum amount of hours possible, same as a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like effort.
Do you want to talk about at all like your decision to play All Stars? Like, because I know it seemed like it was a bit up in the air about whether you wanted to come back or not.
I wanted to, but I was dreading it. It's my roommate Zach, by the way.
Hi.
So yeah.
It was never really a question. Like I was always gonna do it, but I was dreading it. Because I knew how it was gonna make me feel. But I also like had nightmares about season 1, like literal nightmares. Like I don't know, like I play a lot of games, and I think a lot of people have played maybe feel the same way. Like there's nothing like it. There's no game that I've ever cared more about winning as I was playing it than Survivor. And like there's like I wake up sometimes like just literally to this day, I'll be like, God, in this 1 week I should have nope, not gonna think about that. But like it pops in my head.
Yeah.
And like it, I think less so now that I'm like consciously trying to get over it. But back then it was still very much like that. So like I want another shot, but I was like dreading failing again and dreading the way it was gonna make me feel. And in regards to the whole getting cast thing, like I think I was just like busy at the time, and they wanted like, again, it's gonna come off arrogant, like, but this is how I felt at the time. I was like, there's not that many people from season 1. Like people were talking about LaVon was gonna play. Like most people knew she wasn't gonna play. Like they needed bodies from season 1, and like they knew like I was seen as like a big character, I guess, at least maybe more so among the Survivor Michigan people than like in like the fan base. Like I don't think they needed. I think they could have done casting based off of like if we need a certain amount of people from this season and this season and this season, then like why are we interviewing these people from season 1? Like it honestly seemed kind of pointless to me, and I'll stand by that by this day. But
I mean, yeah, Ian has always argued that they should have just cast everybody that applied because not even that many people applied.
Sure, yeah.
I think it was 24.
I would not touch production with a 10-foot pole. Like I love a lot of people on there were like good friends of mine. But it always seemed like there was drama. Like whenever I'd come home, like like Survivor drama, but they weren't talking about the game. Can you yeah. Sorry, my roommate was about to do a workout.
That's so funny.
Anyways, yeah, no, I was never. I think they had asked me a couple times, like, do you want to be involved in production? I was like, absolutely not.
Oh no, it's a good choice.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people. Oh, never mind. I'm not gonna say these things. I don't care. I don't care.
No.
Oh,
People were passionate about it. That's what I'll say. They were very passionate about it, which like I respect. I mad respect for people that care that much about a club that they're in.
Survivor Michigan inspires a lot of passion, I think, on all sides of it. So
it's true.
For better or for worse.
Wait, so how did your thesis end up going?
I mean, you guys can read it. Like you guys have it.
Yeah. Wait, do we have it?
Yeah,
I
sent it to Sam. I know a lot, like a bunch of different times. Ian has it for sure. Maggie has it. She asks me for it every once in a while. I think I've sent it to her.
Sam, can you send it to us?
Yeah, definitely. Is it something? There's actually been audience members who have asked if they were able to read your thesis, Leia. Is that something that you'd be willing to release publicly?
Yeah, I told Ian he could post it whenever.
Yeah, post it. Maybe if you're watching this video, check the description. Maybe you'll see a link in there. I don't know.
KYTL exclusive.
Yeah.
Is it like a long one? How long is it?
How long is it?
Oh, the thesis?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, God, if I remember, it was like, I don't remember. I want to say it was like 70 word pages, double spaced.
Damn.
Okay, that's pretty long.
I started listening to it though. Actually, like I found an app that you can put a document into it and then like listen to it as like a podcast.
Is it like a Siri voice though? Like it's like a robot voice?
You can like choose a voice. So actually, like because just recently, like a few weeks ago, I actually got around. Like I went back to it and like started like reading through and like listening through the thesis because I realized that I think I had initially like started it right when you sent it to me, but like had not read the full 70 pages of it. So I'm like, I really should just like this whole thing airing reminded me of like, I should read this thesis. So it's very interesting. I mean, I definitely recommend you guys read it. I feel like I've understood.
Yeah, the bibliography is on page 7.
Yeah, that was really great too. But it's like, I mean, I feel like we played very closely together, obviously in the game, like. And like I felt like I had a really good understanding of like where you were coming from and like your philosophy, kind of just how you approach the game. But reading the thesis, I felt like I got a whole like I just got so much more context, I guess, and like what your mind space was and like how you saw the game, and it was like really cool to see that.
Yeah, I'm just looking for it right now because I feel like I've been sent it before and I wanted to actually read it.
What's the app that converts it to voice, Sam?
I'll have to remember. I'll send it to you.
Oh.
So the whole it's like 10 pages like at the beginning is basically an introduction that talks about it's just about Survivor and about my experience in Survivor, which is kind of like a non-standard thing to add into like a formal thesis.
Mm-hmm.
But I talked to my thesis advisor at the time. I was like, I wrote this, like, what do you think? And she's like, yeah, put it in. So
yeah, it's really cool. So this all happened like, I guess 3.5 years ago now. But I mean, it's kind of interesting, I feel like, for the finalists, because like you kind of get to see all the other people that got voted off. Like you hear their interviews and whatever, you see like what they think when they come to the jury. But like with three of us, it's like you kind of don't really see what the finalists think after it's done. It kind of just like ends. So I'm curious if you want to talk about like just what did it feel like when you saw that you did not win, and how your feelings evolved over time? It's like, do you view the season as success? Is it a failure? Like, what is it? What do you think about all of it?
So immediately afterwards, I consciously viewed it as a success, and like subconsciously would be like, oh, what if I had done this? What if I had done this? Like the what ifs is just like, I can't get away from that. But then like consciously, like, the way that I felt was like, it was a success. I came in, like I played the way I wanted to play. I had a shot at the end. Like in the end, that's what was important to me. What was the question again?
I don't know. Just, how do you feel about how the season ended? I mean, you were close to winning. I think that it was a...
Yeah, I mean, Survivor is one of those things, like, we can talk all day about, like, who should have won, who shouldn't have won. Like, the person who won should win because they did win,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, I mean, same shit. Randomly, I'll be sitting on the couch, like, oh, what if I had said this one thing different? I will say, I did watch the finale, and I did watch my performance. I agree that it was weak. That being said, watching a lot of like the voting confessionals, like Lucy was never going to vote for me. Like she was always like in my head, like she was always going to vote with her like heart, like she said at the end, going to go with my gut. Like, I was never going to get like Adam's vote. Like that was never going to happen. It was between Brie and Sam. Like maybe there are some toss-ups, but I feel like the ending was kind of set. I had a bad performance, like absolutely, no doubt, bad performance. But that being said, watching it actually made me feel better than at the time. So my perception at the time, I'm not saying necessarily like grew to believe this. My perception at the time was me losing was 100% Cooper, but me having that perception was what other people were telling me. I was really angry. I remember walking into the after party and like feeling shitty, It was a mix of emotions. And Lucy comes up to me and she puts her hand on my shoulder. Like distinctly remember that she's like, up until yesterday, like you were 100% going to win. Like at tribal council, you made some comment and then Cooper came and like up until yesterday, 100% you were going to win. And I was like, why are you telling me this?
Yeah, it's like not something you want to hear.
I so shitty. And I was like, girl, like you were literally in that situation. Like you should not, like that was mean.
You're gonna win, but you fucked up so hard, Leia.
That was the vibe. Like people would say that to me, like constantly, like up until like right before tribal, you had it in the bag, which made me feel awful.
Yeah.
Like if people hadn't said that, if people were just like, I think I wouldn't have, like that very much influenced my feelings about it. Like people constantly saying, damn, like you had it bad, you were going to win. Everyone thought you were going to win. This is so crazy that you lost.
I know, it's like, okay.
Like,
I'm
thanks.
sorry.
Thank you, I guess.
Sorry, I shit the bed.
But watching it in like back, like I think with that jury, like once Cooper was sitting there, like I think it was pretty much like game at that point. Not to take away from anything Sam did, because like you did well, and happy for you. And like I said, not to take away from it, but as opposed to what people were saying at the time, watching it afterwards, like it felt like that was kind of the way things were going to fall. And I don't think I necessarily would have won by putting Bree on the jury like she wanted to. Like, I think that would have been one vote for me. I think Bree would have voted for me, but I just don't really see any other votes I necessarily get. Maybe Bailey. Bailey's the one question mark, but I don't see anyone other than her.
So I don't know how much you want to go into doing different hypotheticals, but what do you think? What do you think would have been? I guess what do you think you would have done? If Cooper wins immunity, do you vote off Bree there at Final Four? Do you not vote out Sam? Do you get voted out? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would have been a tie between me and Bree probably, because Bree and Cooper would have voted for. I mean,
I know that I would not have wrote your name down.
I don't think Sam would have voted for me.
No, I would not have wrote your name down. I would have, and I don't think you would have written my name down. I would imagine the two of us would have voted together, no matter what.
You insinuated at Final Tribal that you would have considered voting me out at the end for strategy wise, and
that was definitely a lie.
I was upset at you.
Yeah. Fair enough that you were, because we approached it with different, I think, philosophies at Final Tribal. It was saw it as another, I guess, challenge almost of say whatever needs to be said to the jury type thing. But I know, I did, because it was true that I was not going to write your name down. We were a final, in my mind, we were a final two. I had a similar, I felt similarly that I just wanted us to get to the end and for one of us to win. I wanted to win myself, but I also
I think maybe something that didn't show is because our whole argument between Bree and Cooper was if Cooper goes home, guaranteed, we just did not see Bree winning. We potentially started getting some votes. Our perception at the time, we just did not see any way Bree was going to win. So to us, if Cooper goes home, 100% one of the two of us wins. Versus if Bree goes home, there's that tiny chance that Cooper wins.
Right.
So it felt like at the time our priority was each other. In that situation, I think it would have been a tie. For some weird reason, Cooper wanted to put the vote on you, and I don't think Bree would have voted for me. I do
think that it's probably more likely Bree wants to vote for me instead of for you.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happens, that it ties on me and Bree. Or
I don't think it's impossible that we could have split Cooper.
I know. I agree.
We were splitting Cooper from the other person by convincing him that you would vote for me, because he I think he believed that, yes, he knew we were super close, but I don't think Cooper could ever imagine that you would be willing to risk potentially winning to sit in the end with me. So I think there's a scenario where Cooper votes for me because Sam convinced him of that, and then
you're fine. I'm just looking.
I think there's a version where
I'm not even in the camera.
You're distracting me.
I'm not trying to distract you.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's a version where you convince Cooper that you're voting for me, so he votes for me, and then Bree votes for you, and then we vote Bree off.
Yeah.
But in that situation, I think either a tiebreaker or Bree goes home.
I think that we actually, I want to say we discussed that, because we had all kinds of contingencies. I want to say that was probably our plan tentatively, if Cooper had won, that we would try to get some sort of a 2-1-1. And
I did not watch the challenge and mind taking my hand off of it.
Oh my god!
I did not watch that.
That was pretty brutal.
I actually don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I could have been out there as long as never mind. It's I didn't.
Yeah.
They have that. They'll have that. I don't even want to talk about that one. That was just stupid.
I really like though that you had a confessional in there where you talked about the value of just like pushing yourself to your limits and how like you had done that before in your life and how you knew that like for me and Cooper, it was like a big thing for the two of us that we experienced together. Like, I think it was cool that you were still able to like speak on that as like someone who's in the Marines and is like, I'm sure you've done a lot of very hard things.
Stuff like that. I mean, it's all mental, right? It hurts physically. It hurts. So like, I know what it's like to push past that because you care about something, or just because you have something to prove, and I have a lot of respect for it. And I think that the opportunities to do that kind of thing, and yeah, like I could go for a run today if I wanted to, you know, and just push myself. But like, I think the opportunities to do that in a situation like that are small. And so I'm sad that I missed out on that experience. Because then it's something you can be proud of and not regret. But yeah, like I'm sure you still are proud of it to this day, and I'm proud of you for it. And Cooper as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Appreciate it. Cooper. Yeah, I mean, me and Cooper, I think we lasted the exact same amount of time as each other. I mean, we both were out there that whole time. It's tough as hell. That's the thing. That's why I was so afraid of him in the finals, because I knew that like he'll do whatever it takes. He will not give up. Like we both know how competitive he is, you know.
Oh yeah, Ian's editing of the whole did we believe Cooper's lie thing? First of all,
yeah,
I remember sitting like our conversation was it doesn't matter if his lie is true or not because he would like absolutely he would like of course Cooper was always lie his hardest. That was such an irrelevant thing that I completely forgot that it happened. Like
well, then we had proof that it was fake as well.
I don't even remember. Like I saw that and I was like, did they invent this? Did they create this? Like, did that happen? Like, there's nothing anyone could have said to convince me that Cooper would make a deal to let go of it. And maybe that's because we would like he could not believe for the life of him why Mitch didn't like renege on his deal with Tarowski. And he would talk about all the time. He was like, oh, I would never let go. Like he would say that randomly.
No, see, the end of it seemed like I was going to like I believed his deal, but like I didn't. Like I said, I like watched confessionals, and I like was saying like I had a line like, oh, I know like Cooper's a pathological liar because I'm also a pathological liar. Like obviously this is real, but the whole point of the deal was so that Cooper would think like I needed him to believe that I would turn against you at the Final Four, and I was trying to frame the game as like me and Cooper versus Leia and Bree. And the whole deal was basically around that, make him think that like, you know, he had been saved and like through like the fight that you thought about was also part of that was like,
oh, that was so silly. Watching that staged fight back was so I turned it off. I didn't watch it. I was like, I don't want to see
staged fight.
That was so cringy. And I feel so bad for Andrew.
I know.
Like, there was like and I remember thinking like this is bad jury management. Like we were just like doing this on the slim chance that like it would help the following week because we wanted to make it seem like there was I don't even remember. It was so cringy. So much the Survivor is so cringy.
No, but it ended up saving you like accidentally because Bree, the reason she didn't vote for you at the Final Five is because she thought that Andrew was voting for Cooper and there weren't numbers to vote you out. She was planning on blindsiding you at the Final Five. And that fight
I don't even think I watched enough of the episode to know that.
Well, that happens. So now you know that Bree was going to turn on you.
Sometimes cringe is necessary.
So.
Yeah, true.
So do we want to get to some listener questions or viewer questions? Because I know we don't have a ton of time.
Yep.
Try not to pick too mean of questions.
Let's do the shorter ones first. I mean, we touched on some of these already.
Yeah, the edit reception.
Yeah, some of them are a little like repetitive.
Was the friends thing real or was it just to like play the whole time?
Yeah, like
were you actually friends with these people?
Someone said someone said, Leia, since it's been years, have you evolved beyond honor and respectability theory of game playing, or do you still stand by it? Do you still stand by not reaching out to the bottom like Sarah and Megan out of respect to not wanting to bullshit them?
Oh, like in response to my like answer to Sarah about why I didn't reach out to her?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, do I still stand by it, or like is that genuinely what I felt at the time?
Like,
Because
would
at
you,
the
if you
time-
played again, would you still do that?
Like just not reach out to people on the bottom?
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably not. No. Like I mean I do empathize with them. Like that must have been frustrating. Like not to hear them out. But I wasn't gonna vote with them that week. So I also think something that this was influenced by that. So the week of the Jesse Blindside, the week that I actually watched, like the crazy episode,
Yeah.
I had a meeting with Nick. I don't remember if it was included or not, but Nick called that meeting and he was like blindsiding me like that week. And so it blew my mind. I remember thinking like that was a terrible strategy because now like I had no interactions with him before. This wouldn't have even been a blindside. This would have been like some person who I'm like working with by association, like voting against me. But because we sat and had a super long conversation and he told me how he felt, I was like, now you've just lied a bunch to me and I'm, you know, like irritated about that. Like it felt strategically pointless. And that happening like alone, like influenced my decision at the time where I was like, it would be super condescending to just say, hey, I'd like to hear you out. And then be like, no, I'm going to vote you out anyways. And it would also be super condescending and rude to listen to them and be like, yeah, I'll think about it. And then like, just really like, I knew what I was going to do.
Yeah.
So I think from like a
time.
play standpoint, jury management standpoint, I would do it differently. But like, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking it would be shitty of me to sit down with them. Obviously that didn't play well, but.
I mean, I can see it like both ways. Like you said, like it could also be shitty jury management if somebody feels like they keep having these meetings at the end. You're like, no, just like, you know, like you're like, or like, yes, yeah, like, yeah, that sounds good. And then you completely blindside something like that can almost make them feel worse, you know, if you're then, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's kind of almost like a darn if you do, darn if you don't situation.
I mean, I think what I didn't think about is how not talking to them would also make them feel shitty.
Yeah.
So I do see that now about how like that probably made them feel. So, you know, it sucks. I don't think there's a way to make them feel good. Voting someone out sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an exclusionary game. Like, that's why it makes you feel so horrible because you're excluding somebody every week.
It's true.
Yeah, from a gameplay perspective, I think I was just banking on like my perspective was always like I didn't think about jury management. It was like I'm gonna play hard, and then if people are gonna vote for me, they're gonna vote for me, which in the end was a losing strategy. So I'm not saying that it was the right strategy, but that's just kind of what I was doing. I was always gonna play it like that. I'm not a politician. Sam is a politician. Like, even in friend groups in real life, like, you know this about me. Like, I'll like I'm not. Like, I say what's on my mind, and I sometimes don't think about the consequences. And I'm not, like, that's a flaw of mine, but.
I don't think it's a flaw. It's just a personality trait. I think there's a lot of value to saying what you think. Like, I respect that as someone that, like, sometimes holds back.
And that's why I think you two.
This season made me feel sorry. Before I forget this, this season made me realize how much I wore my emotions on my sleeve, and like it was honestly kind of embarrassing. Like, I hate that my friends watching Survivor, like they know who I am and like who I actually am, but like random strangers watching Survivor and thinking like, wow, she's nuts. Like that sucks. And like I did come, if that's all you knew about me, if that's just you thought like real life Leia is, like yeah, like that was strange. So I am not that. I don't know what the right word is. I just go around screaming and swearing at people.
No, like you're a very charismatic person. I think, like, you know, everyone likes Leia. You just gotta like. It's different to meet Leia versus. I guess that's not true. Everyone doesn't like Leia, but you know, people that talk with you though, like you're. I feel like if you like meeting you in person and knowing you in person is like different than like just seeing this kind of edited version on TV, which Ian also specifically edits like the most like dramatic, like crazy emotional
He loves the
moments
drama.
because that's what he loves the drama, you know. So it is very much an edited version that we're seeing.
And yeah, I just want to say earlier, like that's why I feel like you two were such a good duo in this game, is that you have kind of complementing, like, you know, best traits, I guess, is like, you know, Sam might be better at, like, I don't know, being more of the politician, like you said, and, you know, winning people over. And then Leia is just kind of like the bulldog of strategy. I don't know. but also at the same time, like, I feel like Leia, like, you are very charismatic, especially to the people who maybe make it on the Leia's list. You know, they, you know, maybe the people who are let off the list might have been a little upset by it, but the people who are on the list like wanted to die for you. You know, like I feel like you more than maybe. The only other example I think is maybe Dale in Sorry Michigan history. Just have people who just like willing to like die for you in this game. I feel like you were very good at just like creating, you know, that sort of that bond with people. So like, and I feel like those like you, that's why you two together played such a like great game. And I feel like why it was a close jury vote at the end.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the one person who did actually die for me was Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or I apologize, AJ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they that was the week in the game that I felt myself being the most manipulative. Like when I was talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone.
It was a tough week.
Like, I could feel myself appealing to their emotions. And that's kind of one of the things that I don't think is cool about Survivor. When, you know, like Cooper thinks it's funny to fake cry and appeal to people's emotions. And like, I'm not, it sounds like I'm criticizing, like, you know, all's fair in love and Survivor. And that was kind of, you know, like I literally did it too. So I'm a hypocrite if I say you shouldn't do it, but I could feel myself doing it, and I watched myself do it, and it was tough because messing with people's emotions so that you get what you want and they don't get what they want, like, sucks.
Yeah. I did think it was interesting though that you still did refuse to write AJ's name down when it came down to it. Like one of the critiques was like, oh, like Leia just like chooses her like Leia's list is just like her closest friends. It's like, well, like AJ kind of like made it onto the list just to some extent. Like Emily made it onto the list. Like Will likely would have been on the list. Like I don't know. Is that kind of like the way that I perceived it? I'm curious if this is the way you perceived it. Was that your list was built more so around like loyalty than just who my closest friends with? Because, you know, some people that were disloyal made it off the list. Some people that were loyal made it onto the list. Like, and maybe that's not the way. I mean, I don't know. Is that the way that you saw it, or like what was like how do you get onto the list? I guess is the question.
Yeah, I think being like my friend before it definitely made it better because we just automatically had interactions and like I cared about them. But you know, I didn't go into the game thinking that. It was kind of a place that I got to.
I think the real question is, would me and Sarah have been on the list if we played All Stars?
I don't think Sarah would have been on the list. I think I don't. Wow. That's not true. I respect you too much as a player. Like I would have been like, no, she's gonna try and get me out. I'll say this.
Yeah, like in the loyalty sense.
You would have 100% been on the list, but like when it came down to endgame, like I think we would have just wanted different things.
But you don't think I would have wanted to go to the end with you?
Oh, I mean, who knows? That's a hard question to answer. Do you think your style, I guess I don't really know I've never watched you play. Would your style of play, would you have been willing to get to a point with me where you would have lost for me? Would you ever get to a point
I have
where
lost for you?
I would rather risk my own game than like send Leia home.
No.
No.
I'll answer for Sarah.
Yeah. So that's why I said that.
Yeah.
I don't think you ever would have gotten there, and I think Sam did. So
what about me though?
I don't know, actually. I think maybe. Would you have gotten to that place?
I think I could have. I think I want to say that I wouldn't have, but also I feel like I see myself a lot in Sam's position. I feel like I think I was almost like already reaching that point like in season 4. Like
Yeah.
when I played, I feel like I was like almost at that point with like Camila and Megan.
Yeah. Okay, this is what I was going to say before.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know, like, about myself and in my opinion, watching it, I was one of the most easy people to manipulate in that game. Like, I wanted loyalty. Like, I realized, again, this goes back to the fact that I wouldn't even sit down with the other side. But, like, that, like, at the time that I was meeting with players, like, external to the list, and, like, even when I was on the list, like, I cannot believe Cooper did not go up to me and just, like, be like, dude, you're my number one. I would die for you, because I would have eaten that up. Like, boom, eating it up. Like, I was never quite there with him, which is why I had the Girls Alliance, because I wasn't 100% sure that Cooper was with me because he was too strategy. But, like, even, like, me, like, because there was things I was, like, holding back from him, right? But if he had been, like he could have worked me so easily. And he knew enough to do that about me. And I think that, like, you know, with the whole list, like, I want to be loyal to my people. Like, if somebody... The people on the list at the time were very much like, you know, they didn't want to be associated to the list. But in private, if they had come up to me and been like, dude, like, you're right, like, ride or die, like, I would have been fooled. True or not, I would have, like, boom, had bought into it. So I think it actually made me very easily manipulated, and I am surprised people did not take advantage of that more.
This is good to know for All Stars 3 when we're out playing again.
You see, I would ride or die with you for a while. And the thing is, I would probably want to cut you at the end, but the problem is I wouldn't want you to get 4th again. You know what I mean?
A lot of what Bree was saying is, like, specifically she didn't want you to get 4th the second time.
That was nice of her. I love Bree so much to this day. She's like, yeah.
That's great.
Would you rather have gotten 4th again or gone out at the merge?
Gone out the merge, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god,
again.
4th twice? No, absolutely not. No.
4th is worse than 2nd. I can say that.
Yeah,
because
4th.
You'll never know. You'll always wonder would I have won if I got to the end versus, like, I made all the decisions, like, pretty much how I was gonna make them.
Yeah, one of the questions actually from the audience says, has your view of Survivor changed since filming? Could you compare playing All Stars to season 1? P.S. I personally think Leia is a great character and player.
Thank
They're
you.
going
Really
on the
nice
list.
PS.
I can look back when I watch it, and I know who she is, and I know why she did the things that she did. But yeah, absolutely. Like, I've grown a lot. I think what I know now about myself is a lot of things that I brought into the game. Like, I don't think I would not be able to bring those things in. So, and I just don't like the way that, like, the game made me feel. So I would not play. I would not put myself in that situation again. I mean, the question is really just, like, have I grown, essentially?
I guess, yeah, and then it also says, how do you compare All Stars to season 1?
Oh. I think they're hard to compare. I mean, beyond the obvious, like, other than, you know, like, higher stakes, like, everyone was everyone had some amount of strategy and understood the game and knew each other. Plus, it sucks. Oh my god, it sucks way more to lose to people you know than to people you don't know.
Wait, I'm blanking now. Did you know Cooper before season 1?
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
One of the 2 secret, like, friendships.
Oh, I forgot, because I was like, I knew the Tarascas did, but I forgot if there was any other ones. Okay.
It wasn't it like your friends since like first day of college you were in the same hall or something, or there's some story.
And that was pre
like
I would die for my friends, like I'm gonna play with my friends kind of thing. Like, Cooper and I discussed it going in that we were gonna use knowing each other for, like, a strategy, but it was never like, if I had gotten voted out, I would have tried to make Cooper win 100%. Like that, like, but we were absolutely competitive with each other, especially while we were still in the game. So.
You think that Cooper would have voted for you if you made it to the final 3?
Yeah. Yeah, he was, like, advocating for me. At least that's what he's told me. I say that, I think that based off what he's told me. So
yeah. There's no reason for him to have lied about that. Yeah. Another question is, do you regret playing, or is there anything you would have done differently?
Yeah, I do regret playing, and there's
Really?
a lot of things I would have done differently. I just don't think I should have played. Just knowing the way that things went down. The most important thing that I got out of Survivor is like Sam and I went in as like kind of like friends by association. Like we had mutual friends. But then like I walked out of that with you as one of my best friends, and I think I talked to you actually more than anyone else back in the States. So like just for my relationship and friendship with Sam alone, like it was worth it. But yeah, like I think I brought things into the game that like ultimately were a detriment to other people. And I just would have preferred that controversy just never exist and people got what they wanted. I think I any point I didn't prove any points, you know, and I was never not going to be like I was never not going to try. I was always going to do what I did. So I think it just would have been better if I hadn't.
Yeah. Sorry you feel that
I know
way.
you don't feel that way.
I understand
Yeah.
it. I understand the, like, definitely there's things I regret too, and it's just out there, and you can't really change it. But I'm definitely glad that our relationship developed through the game. It's one of the things that I'll take with me for sure.
And just as a fan of Leia, I'm very happy you played because it was very fun watching this season. So I mean, I was happy you played.
Oh yeah, you definitely proved how good of a Survivor player you were. You said you didn't prove anything, but I think you proved that. I would like to think that you proved that your philosophy is a good one, that you will make it far in Survivor through trust, like absolute trust.
Yeah.
You literally have the most days played in Survivor Mission history, best average placement.
So I've heard.
There's a like you can make an argument that you're the best Survivor Michigan player.
I would make an argument that you get a greater like weight of points by winning. Just like winning makes you good, you know. So to have that winner in there, but
yeah, but 8th place, like you.
Yeah, it kind of drags the average down. I'm only like number whatever.
Yeah, I mean Survivor, it's crazy. Like a lot of the placement stuff comes down to luck, right? Like I mean that's every game is a game of luck. Like football at certain points is a game of luck. You know, I say that because it's very clearly like, you know, skill. It's both.
Well, it is both, right? Every single game of any competition played always has an element of luck, but there's also an element of strategy. And I would like to believe that in the long run, the better strategies will win more often than the worst strategies.
Yeah. I think think this could be said about me and like plenty of other people too. Like I'm just naturally like strategic. And I think that that's why I did well in Survivor, not the philosophy stuff. Like the strategy side of my brain is like why I did well.
But they're kind of intertwined though, aren't they? Like did your philosophy not aid your strategy?
It did.
Because anyone can be strategic, but it doesn't mean that your strategy is a good strategy. Cooper is extremely strategic, but he had a completely different philosophy. You know, it's a question of which one is a better strategy.
I think Cooper is a very good Survivor player that did not do well in an all-stars environment. I think you give Cooper a bunch of you put him with a bunch of people who don't know him at all a bunch of times, and I think Cooper does really well. And I cannot believe he did as well as he did in All-Stars.
One of the questions from the audience was, how do you think the game would have changed if you and Cooper switched game philosophies?
So basically, if you just
question, we just would have traded places. Like,
yeah, it's kind of a weird question.
But I guess it's just asking in a way, like, if you allowed yourself to just not care about other people's feelings more, or not like be so, because I feel like that's a lot of what you've talked about is like, really not like hating the voting out part of it, when people like Cooper take delight in it, like I feel like if you allowed yourself to be like more chaotic, do you think you would have been a better player? I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know if chaotic's the right word, but yeah.
I mean, like, if I did everything the same, but just with the added aspect of like secretly I'm ruthless and like would be willing to cut you. I think, I mean, you mentioned like being a what's it called, liar, like not sociopathic, a pathological liar. I think that would have just like pushed me even more to that, right? Like, I thing about Survivor is like we're all manipulating each other, we're all lying to each other, right? So I was willing to be even more manipulative and like lie about even more, like not lie, but like talk about like deep-seated emotions because I convinced myself, well, you know, whether it was true or not, I think is I go back and forth on it, was because I really believe myself. So like I'm not a bad person for like really appealing to someone's emotions because I mean it. And I think that every time, I mean, so I guess I don't really think that answers the question, but I guess I would hope there's not a lot of people that are. I would hope that somebody wouldn't use my strategy and just 100% not believe it at all, because that, I guess it is a strategy. I just think it sucks. My only defense, and I watched it, like I know I came off as arrogant, like holier than thou, like I said that, but like my only defense is that I believed what I was saying. Maybe that is a defense, maybe it's not, but I think somebody. Yeah, I told myself I wasn't gonna come on here and just like shit on Survivor and like shit on people who play Survivor, but
I mean,
Yeah,
this is your interview. It's here for you to say how you feel about things.
Let's shit talk some people. Who do you want to bring up?
Survivor's
That's right.
not just a game.
It's not just a game.
That's what I'll say. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Survivor's not just a game. Like people like say that it is, but like anybody who's played knows that it's not. So if you're gonna like use an excuse of like it's just a game, like it's not. At least not College Survivor. I'm not talking, when I say this, I mean College Survivor. It's not just a game. It doesn't feel like just a game when you're playing it to 99% of people. And the fun part about Survivor is it's a game where you actually are incentivized to lie about what you think the rules are to other people. Because in most games, you at least establish ground rules where you're like, this is part of the game and this isn't part of the game. But in Survivor, it benefits you to lie to a person and say, no, I think that like, you know, these things are in the game and these things are not. And now if you lie about something, like now you can, if you make them think that you think Survivor, like certain topics are off limits in Survivor, and then you talk about those topics to like feel their emotions, like you've just successfully manipulated them. So you can actually lie about the games in Survivor.
It's a game where people don't agree on the rules, where the lines end.
Yeah.
Like, you know how like remember like if you watch CBS Survivor when Johnny Fairplay like pretends that his grandmother's died and like uses that to gain empathy.
I distinctly remember that. Yeah.
I feel like that's a good example of like there's certain things where people who say that there's no rules in Survivor, like there's certain lines like what if you said that like your whatever whole family died in a car crash, all made up, or that whatever your dog, like what are
Didn't a Maryland player have a dog die that they lied about? I feel like I remember that.
But I think it's way more interesting when it's true. Like, didn't this happen? Like Erin was going through, at least this is what I remember. Like I'm not that close with Erin, but I remember she was like legitimately going through a really hard time. Yeah. And I remember having a conversation with someone about it. Like, I don't even remember what side I was on. I think we were just talking about it. Like, genuinely, like, should this affect us? Like, game-wise, if I would have made, you know, like, decision to vote, you know, Erin or whoever, if somebody's legitimately going through a really hard time and I feel bad for them, like ought that to affect my decision? Because I think the general consensus is no. Like, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, it was like a hard thing, like, emotionally, like, as a human to do. Like, I feel like a similar kind of like moral quandary was Brie asking to be voted off at the Final Four, and the question on whether we should honor her wishes or whether we should not. Someone actually had a question on that. They said, I felt Cooper made a compelling argument as to why Brie should be voted out, as her desire to play had seemingly dwindled. For Sam and Leia, was there anything possible that Cooper could have said or a different pitch or angle that he could have done to get us to vote for Bree. I feel like that was like
I was this close to doing it.
Yeah.
I wish I had. Just because it felt like disingenuous because I told her I was going to. And like I wasn't trying to lie to her. I just ultimately, when I was sitting there, I was like, if I write Bree's name down, me or Sam wins. I wasn't even thinking about who would have the better chance between us, but I was just like guaranteed.
Yeah.
Or sorry, if I write Cooper's name down, that happens. And so like that's ultimately like what my decision was. But like I wanted to vote for, like he did convince me. Like I wanted to. I just in the end, it's the desire to win just kind of won out.
Yeah.
And I know this is not what we're talking about at all, but like I just always want to go into these hypotheticals. I think it's really interesting to think about what would have happened if it was you, Cooper, and like Leia, Sam, and Cooper final three. Like I could almost see a circumstance where like Cooper pulls votes away from Sam, and maybe somebody who voted for Bree votes for you, and like you could end up winning in that, Leia. I don't know, like that would be like a really volatile final three. Like I have no idea what would have happened. Really,
yeah. Who knows? I could see it going a bunch of different ways.
I could see any of the three of us. To be honest,
what I think, and like I think the votes would have been. I think I would have gotten the exact same votes plus Bree, and I think Sam would have had the same votes minus. I have no idea what Megan does.
Yeah,
I think Megan votes for Cooper actually. Yeah,
I think she does.
Yeah, so that's the same. Who else voted for Bree? Was it just her?
Just Megan.
Yeah. I think randomly, like Kevin might randomly vote for like Cooper or something. But I honestly, I think I win because it looks a lot the same, but any of the ones that get pulled to Cooper are coming from Sam. I think the people that are going to vote for me are going to vote for me, and then you just add Bree to it.
Yeah. Yeah, could have tied. Maybe Cooper decides between the two of us who wins.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, then we know you would have won.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess he did.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I mean,
Cooper, we literally know who Cooper wanted to win.
That's true. He did vote between us.
He voted for that person.
Oh, but can you imagine? That would have been such a good scene. I think we should have done that.
Look, I will say this, and most of what I have to say, I really just belongs to be said straight to Cooper, and I think I've said it. On one hand, like one of my closest friends, like it sucks not to have him like vote for me. But that being said, totally understand it. I can't go. I went through the whole game and was basically just like, I hate Cooper. And when I wasn't saying I hate Cooper, I was saying I hate his strategy. So of course he was going to hate my strategy, and you're not going to want. I think Cooper knows, and I think Cooper lied. Cooper made it seem like, because he knows that I care about Survivor, and he was like, telling the jury I didn't give a flying, but what he did genuinely believe is that just like my strategy should not have worked and only worked because people were being irrational at random times, and me winning would have been like the counter to his whole like game philosophy. So like, of course, like I totally understand where Cooper was in the end, and that's fair of him to be like that. But yeah,
I think that's the issue with maybe his philosophy is expecting people to be rational at all times. I think people are inherently irrational in games like Survivor. Like you want to think everybody's going to do what's optimal for them at all times, but they don't,
Emotions. Well, also like the rationality is based off of a set of like logic, set of logic, which is based off of facts. And like if your logic or facts, if you have some of that missing or you make an incorrect judgment, then like you're going to just assume people will make decisions that they won't ultimately make because there's like missing information. So I feel like the idea that people will always make the most rational decision is based on like you have to assume, or is based on the assumption that you know exactly what the rational move for them is, which like Cooper, a lot of the time it seems like he did, but there's times where he didn't.
I think Ian's the one that said it. Actually, I think he said it to me offline, but like, we're all the hero of our own story. Cooper's the hero of his story.
Mm-hmm.
I was a hero of mine, I guess. Like, Yeah, I think Survivor is more fun as just not more. I wish it was just something that I did and not something everybody got to see. But
That's fair. That's very fair.
I'm sure you guys know, it's a shitty feeling to be like, no, I want to explain that more. And Ian did a really good job putting like most of what I thought into it. But you know, of the comments that I did read, just so many bad reads on what I was thinking at the time. And like it just sucks to have people misunderstand you and like not have the opportunity to correct them. I love like debating about things, like, right?
Yeah.
But like I'm not gonna like engage with people online. Like it's never something I'm gonna do. But like just the idea, me watching it, like knowing what I thought about myself and being like, people are gonna think this thing, and I don't have the opportunity to like make them think differently.
Yeah.
And, you know, so they're like, what do you guys get on this? Like 50 views? Like
I mean, that is kind of the point of having these exit interviews, is just to have one last chance to address like anything that you feel like was misunderstood and be like, well, I'll defend my game. Here's the thing.
But I don't mean it in general. I mean like in specific situations. Like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like,
I mean, Survivor turns people into assholes, and like I definitely turned into a bit of an asshole. Like, yeah, I know how I came off, and it sucks, and which is kind of why I wish that I didn't do it. / that it wasn't on the internet for everyone to see. But you know, it is what it is.
And I'll have you know, we get hundreds of views, not 50. So
Okay.
you know,
I apologize. I didn't mean to.
hundreds, dozens.
dozens.
I am
dozens of
sorry. I
us.
have difficulty believing that.
Get dozens of views.
Just it blows my mind how much people care about this, which is like, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm glad
same.
people do.
Honestly, same.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I'm criticizing the people that are taking the time to watch this, which I promise I'm not criticizing you. But
It doesn't sound, I don't think it came off criticizing. You're just saying that.
like I said, I'm not a politician. Never will be, despite, I think I did mention like being president one time.
Yeah, you didn't want anything
Yeah,
that like would like ruin your presidential run or something.
No, Sam's the president. I'm the one that he on occasion hires because he needs me, and for the most part has to pay to like not associate
You mean
myself
the
with
brains
him.
behind the operation?
Yeah, you're like you do
the
the dirty
figurehead.
work, you know, like House of Cards style. Like you're like killing off the political opponents, you know.
Yeah, I mean, she does.
That would be morally
write hit
wrong.
lists.
I would never do
true.
that.
True.
Aren't hit lists just part of your 9 to 5?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm cool. Like, all like murder for political gain, absolutely. Lying for political gain,
Wow.
That's a sin.
They're gonna cut that part out, Leia, and put that in political ads one day.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
one day
murder.
that
Yeah.
they're not going to use me like drinking beer and being obscene.
Well, because that's cool. That relates you to voters.
Yeah, true.
That's
That's the number one thing people vote for is like, oh, I would have a beer with them. You know, that's why Hillary
True.
lost. No one wanted to have a beer with her.
Yeah,
Right.
Survivor is what it is. I don't have regrets to the extent that like I know what I did while I did it. I have regrets to the extent of I know there's things I could have done at different times to do better. And yeah, I'm not proud of how I came off. The friends thing was real, and it also wasn't real. I think those are the only things I really wanted to say. So now I've said them. And now Survivor becomes the S word again, and
Never again.
go back to pretending that
Mm-hmm.
I can go back to real life where.
You've done your Survivor combo for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, actually, no. I think this is the explanation point on my Survivor talk.
For the life.
Forever. Yeah.
Well-
That being said, I would like to come to one of the reunions one day, just because it seems like you guys have a lot of fun. Just don't
Mhm.
talk to me about Survivor there.
Yeah, the S word reunion. The reunion of people who just, you know, happens to be. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're united by the S word.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to see you there. I'm sure there's a
Anyways,
lot of.
I
students
am
that
going
like-
to be late for work.
Yeah,
which
sorry for
scares
keeping
me
you.
because I'm the boss, so no one's going to get mad at me for being late to work. I just didn't feel bad about myself for being late, because if our Marine showed up late to formation, they would get in trouble. So I'm going to go change super quick and head over.
All right.
Thank you for your service, Leia.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming
I
on.
live on a beach. Don't.
Thanks
right.
so much.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.